Okay, so I want to talk about imbalance, a particular kind of imbalance between our inner life and our outer life. Thanks for tuning in. So, something I see a lot, and I think it's a product of our Western culture and our fast-paced lives, the go, social media, post it to Instagram, post it to Facebook kind of life, where we end up with little time for the inward gaze, the attending to who we are at our core being. So, and when you think about it, John O'Donohue talks about this in one of his books. He talks about how our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, all of these things are the most shaping of who we are as people. And many of us have taken the furniture of our interior world and put it out on the porch or into the yard, such that we spend very little time looking at our inner life and nourishing it and exercising it and doing things that put us more in tune with what's going on there so that we can shape the outer life. I find this remarkably accurate in terms of what I observe in my practice in working with people. A lot of times, mental, emotional, and I put that in quotes because these things cross over, but symptoms that we would construe as mental, emotional, psychological stuff tends to often be a call to the interior world to pay attention to stuff on the inside, meaning how I'm thinking about this, how I'm feeling about this, what I'm doing in my life. That sounds really simple, and yet it's not. And what I find is that those symptoms will start to manifest and scream more at us to try to get our attention. I'll give you an example from my own life. Probably, it's been now 4 or 5 years ago that I was under a lot of stress. I had some personal stuff going on in my life. And on top of that, I was new to medicine. I graduated from medical school not long before. I was opening my own practice, and I had all this energy that was directed outward, where I had very little time for myself, for self-care, for things that of nourishing that inner life, such as reading, writing, journaling, meditation, taking a walk in the woods by yourself. Even exercise can sometimes get there if you use it in such a way. But I was neglecting most of that. I wasn't doing hardly, and I was basically go, build the practice, market, get out there, etc. And like I said, and at the same time, in the practice, I was managing some pretty intense things. And then my own life was in this pretty intense state. So what ended up happening in that context was I had this, what I would call an epic dream, that was incredibly intense. And I mean, off the charts in terms of it. I'm not going to get into the details of it, but it was just this kind of this intense, amazing, frightening at the same time dream that really was aimed at getting my attention back here, because that is ultimately where you're going to wrestle out and figure out what's happening, what's going on, and that controls what happens in the real world. They're both real, but the part that nobody can see. And there were some decisions and some things I had to do in my life, and that was really, on one level, a symptom, but also a call from the parts of me that were being neglected, that were trying to help me sort out how to figure out the mess. So I say that because, I think one of the reasons my experience of this particular dream was so intense was because of how neglected my interior landscape really was. I was pretty much, doing a lot of suppression, and I'm not going to look at that, and I'm not going to feel that, and I'm going to, I basically was squashing a lot of the interior world. And so things were going amok. So I think, this is a picture of what I think happens when this imbalance gets extremely exacerbated. Intense. Is that sometimes those symptoms, they could show up in the form of, feeling depressed. It's pretty common that people show up in my office and can't identify why they feel depressed. And yes, some would say, well, that's part of the criteria for a major depressive disorder is if there's no cause. But there often is a cause in this imbalance. If you're running, go, and, living this life out here, but neglecting at the very core who you are, then symptoms are going to show up. And they're going to try to help you sort out this imbalance, because that's the point very often of symptoms. So that's one piece. Taking it a little further, though, one of the recommendations that John O'Donohue mentions, he talks about sitting down and writing what your 7 driving thoughts are that dictate your life, that dictate who you are, that dictate how you interact in the world. He calls them the 7 thoughts that you are married to. Assumptions you have about the world, about you. And he says, try to tease out on paper what they are. 7 thoughts. It may take you some time to do this. And then he recommends asking yourself the question, because I've been so faithfully married to these thoughts, these 7 premises that I have about the world, what are the 7 thoughts that I've never had an affair with, that I've never flirted with the idea of? And this can be a source of tremendous growth in our lives, because we can go, oh my gosh, I've assumed X about me and about the world, and that is what has held me back, because maybe this other thought I should try on. Who's to say? Maybe that thought is a better way of interacting in the world for you, but you won't know until you first identify the thoughts you're married to, and then ask what are the alternatives that you've neglected. So I challenge you, try that out as a way to gain access to your inner world, and to start a practice, maybe several practices, a ritual of engaging who you are, what makes you you, what's unique about you, and how you can really reach your highest calling in life, which is to be functioning as you were meant to function on the planet, and to contribute your unique gifts to the planet. So that's the challenge. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to share my 7 thoughts because I actually think it's a good idea to keep that personal. But I encourage you also to do it. Let me know if you do, how it goes, how long it takes you to pull out those thoughts. And thanks for tuning in. Adios.